Will Muschamp, of course, lived on the hot seat his last few years after peaking out at 9-4 in a bowl win over Michigan. Then it kind of came crashing down, step after step after step down the rung. Shane Beamer, your impressions about what he's done there. Of course, we've got no win-loss record to go on, but just in regards to what you're hearing from him, what do you see out of the football team in spring practice? It's a thin roster. There was a lot of criticism about the recruiting class, which of course he didn't start. He just tried to pull it together late, and they're off to another fairly slow start in terms of another recruiting call here in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's going to be that way. It's going to be that way with recruiting. Shane Beamer, you look at this staff, and Marcus Satterfield is the offensive coordinator. He took over after Mike Bobo left to go to Auburn, and he's got a comment that we play on our radio show each and every morning. It's part of a liner, and he talks about how they are not a bunch of retreads, a bunch of big names. They're all a bunch of young guys that are hungry. You just had David on, Torian Gray from Florida, and Justin Stepp from Arkansas are two guys that really, I guess Greg Atkins is the longtime coach. He's coached at Tennessee, and Georgia. He's the offensive line coach, but he was at Marshall last year. So what you're getting right now is a roster of coaches that haven't really coached in the SEC. And having done recruiting, what you get with that also is guys who haven't had to build those relationships with players that can play in the SEC. And so they need to get guys on campus. They've got to get guys. You've got to get to June 1 when we're going to open everything up. South Carolina still has great facilities. They've done a good job of building this ops build. I give Will Muschamp all the credit for that, knowing how to build that thing. But the bottom line is you've got to be able to get guys onto campus and sell your vision. And it's hard to do through Zoom calls. I was kind of monitoring Shane Beamer had his call-in show tonight, pre-spring game call-in show tonight. And he said he's done over 100 hours worth of Zoom calls with recruits just in the last few weeks alone. And it's hard to do. It's extremely hard to do through Zoom and sell what the University of South Carolina has got to sell. And so he's got to get that open. The staff as a whole, it's energetic, it's personable, it's transparent. You know, you can run Will Muschamp, Kirby Smart, Jeremy Pruitt, whoever else you want to talk about out of the Nick Saban tree. You can run the Nick Saban model if you're winning 11 games a year and you're beating everybody's brains in. If you're going 4-8 or 2-8, you simply cannot be defensive about your position. You cannot, for lack of a better term, lie to the fan base about injuries or other things. You can't withhold coordinators from talking after games. People want to know that. Fans want to know that thing. If your team, I can look over here on the comments page and see Florida fans and Notre Dame fans, and you know, I see what's going on. You want to hear about your team, and when things go wrong, you want to hear from the coordinators. You want to know what a coordinator was trying to do and what they were trying to accomplish and why they might have stunk that game. And Will Muschamp did something where those guys weren't allowed to speak, and it created a divide. It created a divide between a very passionate fan base that is dying for a winner and a coach who wanted to be authoritarian and be in complete control. And that's one of the things that Shane Beamer's had to do is bring not only the players back in, but the fan base as well.